everyone. Welcome back to Pleasure Principles, the podcast where we explore the many facets of pleasure and how we cultivate it, experience it, and sustain it in our daily lives. I'm your host, Avik, and today we are diving deep into a topic that truly shapes our experience of the pleasure, which is mindful communication,
Mhm.
right? So let's be real. Like, how often do we think about the communication beyond just um, sharing or exchanging the words, right?
Mhm.
It's something that we do all the time. But uh, are we really aware of how it influences our relationships or
Mm.
our joy and our overall experience of the life? Great, right? Great to think about, right? So, to help
Mm.
us unpack this, I am joined by someone who has dedicated his life to understanding the nuances of the communication. Yes, I'm talking about Mario Halim Misa. So, welcome to the show, Mario.
Thank you so much for making this opportunity happen. And man, that was it's a fact, it's factual, and it also overwhelming when you remind me of that. That's actually really true that I am dedicating my life to this
Yeah.
passion of mine. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for saying that. It really touched my heart. It's
Good.
so true.
Lovely. So, Mario, like, I'll quickly love to introduce you to all of our listeners. Though, listeners, you have already listened him, but still, I would love to, love to explain about him. Uh, um, so, Mario is a social communication expert with an incredible journey that has taken him from the vibrant energy of Cairo to the structured world of corporate America, the military, and the diverse cultures of Asia. So he has spent 17 years studying the communication across various contexts, written 3 books on the subject, and helped countless individuals and the organizations transform the way they connect with everyone or others. Yeah. So why to wait? Let's get started. Welcome to the show again, Mario.
Absolutely. I'm super stoked to be here. I'm standing up. I'm not even sitting down. I'm super excited. That's how excited I am. I love it.
Wait. So Mario, I mean, you have studied the communication across different cultures. So, what's the one surprising thing that you have learned about how people connect in different parts of the world? I mean, if you can share a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So, to get to the point and to your question, I have to say something now that I just realized. You've mentioned that I've been doing my own research and study for 17 years. I have been saying this for like 2 years, so it's more than 17 years now. I've been saying 17 years for the last 2 years. Time going everywhere. So, yeah, it's actually it's almost 2 decades now, which is actually really humbling to think about. Um, so one of the biggest observations that I've really noticed, there's so many, honestly, but for the sake of this conversation, we'll try and be as concise as I can be. Um, that oftentimes when we are not fully aware of how we communicate and what we are communicating, sometimes we forget that we are dealing, connecting, and communicating with other human beings. We actually forget our humanity. We forget the connection that one human to another. Sometimes we make it about the message, about the intention, the purpose, the goal, what we are trying to achieve, what message we're trying to convey, or what we are trying to persuade other people to believe about us or our thoughts. And we do not remember that often that we are just dealing with another human being who have their own experiences in life, who grew up in an environment that they did not choose, and a lot of their subconscious programming, which turns into responses and reactions, actually not up to them. It was programmed within them. Hence, I believe that the combination of communication and compassion are very powerful. Not just about the message or what we are trying to convey, but also become more aware of the receiver, that just another human being. They're doing their best they can. We're doing the best that we can. So being aware that there is part beside people say there's a verbal and nonverbal communication style and communication cues. There's also invisible a bond of communication that happens between us is one human to another. A great example of that because I had the great privilege of traveling Asia and teaching actually monks, English, Buddhist monks, Hindu monks, Thai monks, uh, even being together in a room and just being quiet, two or three people or even more, you're actually communicating your own existence just by existing. You are communicating that I am here, I exist. And that is a very important place to start from how we communicate and connect with other people. Just to be aware of our own humanity and be mindful of other people, humans, they're doing their best as well. This really bring a very healthy layer of interaction between people. It's not just about the words or the message. These are important. Underneath it all, the bond and connection is one human to another. And that's very crucial.
That's amazing, I have to say. And also, like when we're talking about is a, I mean, uh, I mean, that really makes you think about how much the background shapes not only how we communicate, but also kind of how we experience the joy in our interaction. So that's really really awesome. And
Thank you.
uh, yeah, and also like communication is definitely crucial in creating the pleasurable life experience, but what according to you are some of the common communication mistakes that that block people from experiencing that joy in their relationships?
Um, I am, as you're asking me this question, I'm like
Mm.
standing one foot or the other. I'm like super excited. God, I cannot believe we only have a few minutes together. We need our next podcast to be 1 hour. Okay. So, um, to be fully aware of a very important type of communication that from my research I realized many people not aware of. We might have talked about this, but I'm going to go and cover this really quick for the sake of this conversation, the future listeners. The most popular type of communication is interpersonal communication, what you and I are having right now. Also another type of communication is group communication, three or more people, and that breaks down into organizational communication, strategic communication, hierarchy, and goes on and on. Another type is intra-personal communication. So the first one, I said interpersonal communication, INTER, interpersonal 101. Intrapersonal, INTRA, that is communication with ourselves. Honestly, the percentage, it blows me away. Over 30% of people actually are not aware of their inner dialogue. Well, if you're not aware of your inner dialogue, that means it's happening subconsciously and not being aware of it. And it can make you happy or it can make you miserable. It can motivate you or it can put you down. So when we become aware of this voice and we harness it and I don't want to say like control it, but manage it and train it intentionally, this inner voice can bring us so much joy and pleasure in life when we become aware of it and cultivate it intentionally. Because when we have the ability to make ourselves feel happy, content, joyful, enjoying life, feeling pleasure in life, whatever comes from the outside, from other relationships that brings this happiness or pleasure or joy, that becomes additional to what we have to offer ourselves. Hence, when we think about doing something fun or entertaining in life or doing something that we enjoy that will bring us joy and pleasure, oftentimes we think about, ooh, who I'm going to hang out with, what I'm going to do with whom, when, where, when is the next meeting or meetup, or we're gonna have a coffee or go watch a movie together or with someone else. Being able that we can do this with our own self, whether someone around or not, is very powerful because that means we are aware of our own inner buttons and switches that we can use specific language and words to cultivate feeling within us And we don't have to like wait or anticipate something that would trigger us from the outside to feel happy or content or joyful. So basically, we need to be aware that we can be in the driver's seat of our own emotions for ourselves. Not what she said made me sad, or what he did made me feel miserable, or oh, what they did or they said ruined my day. Nah, that's not very responsible, not very accountable for our own existence, our own beings. I am responsible for how I think, how I feel, and how I react. Being in the driver's seat, that's what it feels like. If we are not in the driver's seat, we are in the passenger seat of our intra personal dialogue. I know it's hard to say, but honestly, we become slave for the outside interactions and how the outside can impact the inside so much. There is a reason why we call the top of the our cranium, our head, our mind, we call it temple. Isn't that funny? The two sides by our eyes, we call it temple. Like this is our temple. We need to maintain it intentionally. Not just anyone can come in our temple and just dump anything and just make a mess or take things away. I need to be responsible for the gift the universe gave us. This body, this temple in in our head, in our own mind, and to be accountable for that. So that's very, very important.
That's amazing. And ooh, I mean, you really said correctly. We need 1 hour definitely for the discussion. Definitely. So also like quickly, like in kind of today's digital world, do you think that technology is enhancing or maybe damaging our ability to communicate mindfully? Why I'm saying this, because right, I shouldn't be taking the names, but
Mm.
because we are mostly into the technology based world right now, and we are mostly habituated with uh you remember, like when we had earlier the keypad phones, we used to type a lot. Then we upgraded to our the touchpads, and then we started writing the messages. Then we started with WhatsApp and all those things. Now what is happening, because of AI has in the picture, we just give the prompt and it will give you the whole exact message, or maybe we are using our voice message. Somehow our writing communication is going I mean, uh, going out or flash out. I mean, so what do you think? I mean, yeah.
Uh, this actually, frankly, has been a really popular question and topic in my latest podcast that I go on as a host, and this is
Wow.
is more crucial than I can bring up. It's true because with AI and technology, I mean, what 20 25 years ago, we only have access to internet or technology once we get home and use the computer. Now it's 24/7 on us. And that brings up something very important that I have realized from my research. And as I'm sharing this, I actually sharing it with a little heavy heart, and it will make sense in a minute why.
Mm,
A few minutes ago, I talked about intra-personal communication, how we converse with ourselves. Now, imagine someone sitting in their own bedroom and the phone is in their hand. And let's say they're on like TikTok, YouTube, or Instagram, Facebook, whatever, and they're just scrolling and they find something that made them upset. They comment or they say something not healthy, or they have unhealthy criticism of what they have experienced. Well, guess what? Person who posted those things online few weeks
mm,
ago or a few months ago, and we just comment on it now or react to it now or respond or block or whatever reaction to it, this is actually about ourselves, not the post, not the person, not the message. It basically triggered something within us. And because some of us not aware of our inner world and responses and reaction, we think that we are responding to the other person's behavior. No, we are
Mm,
actually responding to what's happening within
mm,
us. And this is very, very crucial. So that's why I say with a heavy heart, because if we make a mean comment or have unhealthy thought or negative thought and no one else is around, this is happening only with us. So being aware of that and how we are going with technology, it actually creates this opportunity where human connection in person, face to face, it becomes a whole lot more valuable. So, from my research, I found out that more than 60% of people who leave mean comments online or they say things that are not healthy or not helpful or something negative, more than 60% of these people would never ever say those things or make these comments in person to the person's face.
mm. Wow.
Pe- Yeah, people like when they make a nasty comment or bad comment online, this is actually about themselves. It's not about the person who produced that material or posted something online a few days ago or even a year ago. Maybe the person is dead, posted something and died already. Yet the
Yeah.
person who exposed to that information, um, they have reaction from the inside. And this reaction is actually about ourselves. And once we find out that things are not happening to us, they're actually happening for us, we start to take responsibility. And if we see something online that maybe doesn't make us feel good, or we want to respond in like in a mean or hateful way, I highly encourage you to pause and think, why do I feel this way? Why am I reacting this way? Because it's very crucial to be aware of our inner dialogue. So with technology, in a way, because you can post something and it gets seen the same day or maybe 10 years down the road, it kind of dilutes a little bit the interpersonal part of our communication. And it makes this genuine connection face to face a lot
Yeah.
more valuable. So we need to be aware of what comes up for us when we are alone. That's very crucial.
Understood. That's lovely. Yeah. Great. So, and also, like, if you could leave our listeners with one key message about the communication and the pleasure, what would it be?
One more time. What was communication pleasure? Sorry.
Yeah. So, I mean, any one message that you would love to share with the listeners?
Oh, about the connection between communication and pleasure, right? I guess yes. Okay. Yes. Check this out. Whoever's listening to this, I would like for you to do this simple practice and to show you the immediate impact and results of intentionally creating a state of mind and what we tell ourselves. Try and look in the mirror, go in the bathroom and look in the mirror and try to tell mean things to yourself like, oh, you're nothing. You didn't do much enough today. You responded a week ago, not in a healthy way. You do your best. Your best is not enough. Just act it. Just act it out and see how that feels. Uh, After that, take 2 minute break. Literally, set a timer. Say, Siri, set a timer for 2 minutes and come back 2 minutes later, 2 minutes later, and look in the same mirror and act and say positive things your way. They say positive things to yourself where you're like, I'm doing my best. My best will get better with time. I forgive my past self. And every human being around me is doing his and her best. And together, collectively, we will help ourselves to grow and achieve our happiness and the content feeling that we all are pursuing. Say something nice and feel the difference between speaking the first style, which is like negative, unhealthy way, and the second option, where you say something lovely and beautiful and encouraging to yourself. Just saying those things will cultivate these emotions and feelings. Honestly, I whether you believe it or not, just do it. It does not matter. Put believing to the side. I'm just showing you a hint of this is obviously for our amazing future listeners. This is a style or a step for biohacking. We can actually self program. When we become aware of that, we also become fully aware of the influence that we have on the outside. That means please um, guard the gate to your tempo, your body, and your mind. You can do that by creating words intentionally. Thank you, Avik.
Exactly. Exactly. That's really lovely. And I have to say, I really, really love having our discussion today. And and you have given us so much to think about when it comes to how we communicate, not just with others, but with ourselves. Yeah.
Indeed.
Thank you so much for sharing your insights, experience, and wisdom with us today. And for those who are listening, what's the one way that you can be more mindful in your communication today? Maybe it's pausing before you speak, truly listening, or maybe even being kinder to yourself. So, whatever it is, I challenge all of you to put it into a practice and
Mm.
see how it transforms your interactions and your pleasure in life. So, if you have enjoyed today's episode, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who could use a little more mindful communication in their life. And also, you can connect with Mario for more resources. I'll share all the links into the show notes for your easy reference. And until next time, keep communicating with intention and embracing the pleasure of the connection. So, see you
Yes.
in the next episode of Pleasure Principles. Thank you so much.